Thompson. Strength in numbers. It's good to have guys that can step up when a star like this goes down. You see, basically does the splits on the way to the deck. Before that, Clay had been on fire, 4 of 6 from 3, 10 of 17 from the floor to the tune of 25 points. Basically, with under 8 to go, limps off, that's that. And we welcome in Brian Windhorst now. And what can you tell me afterwards in terms of if we got an update at all from him?
No, we didn't. I'm going to tell you, I was back by the Warriors locker room the entire night. He was wearing ice on both the front of his thigh and then the back of his hamstring. This is something that may take imaging. It's going to just take a lot of treatment. They're going to see how it have to go over the next 48 hours. Scott, the Golden State Warriors training staff deserves a game ball for this game. Number one, they had to get Andre Iguodala ready to play, which they were able to do when he was able to keep him healthy enough to hit that big three.
Right.
Number two, whatever they gave Steph Curry when he came back into that locker room, when he was basically peaked in the second quarter, he completely changed when he came back into the game, really got his energy back up. Then they had to treat Kevon Looney in the game, and now they've got to treat Klay Thompson. It was like a revolving door back at that locker room, them treating players, and now they're going to have to go to work again, not only trying to keep those guys who were injured healthy, but try to get Klay Thompson back on the court for Game 3.
So taking inventory of all that, look, I understand that they had the luxury of guys like Boogie Cousins who are just sort of hanging around, right? You have strength in numbers, yeah, you got a ton of stars. But how satisfying a win is it given what they had to sort of squeeze out of each guy that was able to be on the floor?
Well, I got to tell you, being in the back with Kevin Durant, watching him enjoy that game, and I had our true feed, so I was about 4 seconds ahead of KD, and knowing that Iguodala was going to hit that shot and watching KD's reaction was amazing. He is out there bouncing around on one leg. Klay Thompson's bouncing around on the other leg. I mean, going into the locker room, everybody was congratulating Iguodala. Iguodala wanted to congratulate Sean Livingston because he was the guy who fed him the ball. Everybody's congratulating Draymond Green. Draymond Green saying, hey, how about Andrew Bogut converting some of these lobs?
Sure.
And then, of course, DeMarcus Cousins comes out of nowhere and plays 28 minutes that he wasn't expecting to play because Looney got hurt. So it was an incredibly satisfying win for them. They were very, very pleased and excited to have home court and be going home regardless of their health situation.
Brian, I took a look at that stat sheet the other night, 52 for Siakam and Gasol, and I figure, well, there's no way they're going to match that. I mean, look, you combine any two Raptors in the postseason not named Kawhi, and they hadn't gone for more than 44. So there was no way that was going to happen again. Still, they only went for 18. How satisfied was Golden State with the effort collectively on defense?
Well, the big thing I think is they have kept Kawhi Leonard from dominating this game, and they have been able to take Kyle Lowry out of it. I mean, Lowry has made some big plays. He's taken some charges. He's made some good, reads and made some good passes. But he goes 1 of 7 in Game 1. Tonight he was in foul trouble the whole game, wasn't able to impact the game. And let's just be honest, they need Kyle Lowry, contributing at a high level. They've had a very good game plan on Kawhi. And most importantly, they had to go away from their game plan on Kawhi a little bit when Looney got hurt because they couldn't defend the same way, but they were still able to make it hard for him. They handled battlefield promotions and, drama and triage in the middle of a game as well as you're ever going to see in a final setting.
Brian, well put. Travel safely. I look forward to talking to you Wednesday, okay?
Thank you, Scott.
All right, back to the NBA Finals. Steph Curry looked a mess. Wasn't feeling well. He all right? Slow to get going. Body language not great. Actually had to leave the floor at one point, right? Mm-hmm. Get back to the facilities, perhaps. But he finished the half strong. This is what Tim Legler was talking about. Was able to find the rhythm, get some buckets before halftime, cut into that double-digit lead, which trimmed it to 5. Then he continued that in the second half on the way to 23. Didn't have a great shooting night, but they won. And he talked about the evening afterwards.
The strength in numbers, I know it's been around for a while, but tonight it had to mean a lot more than maybe it has a lot of nights.
Yeah, I think when you get to this stage, like our DNA shows up. So it's not something you just throw out there to have nice shirts and give out to the crowd at Oracle and have all this marketing stuff. It's literally like how we approach every day from training camp to June. So how we support each other, how guys stay ready throughout the year, whether they play, like you said, 30 minutes or miss, 10 straight games out of the rotation, whatever it is. Coach always talks about it, that everybody's going to have a chance to help us win a championship at some point, and just to stick with it and be patient. And it shows itself over the course of a season. And, tonight was huge. And we need 3 more wins, and we need it to keep going, but that's a part of who we are in our DNA. It's not just what we say.
Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump, joins us now. We hear a lot of these things mentioned, DNA, strength in numbers. They reveal themselves tonight as, once again, they're down another one of their star players. You have talked to Clay. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Clay, I walked into the locker room. Now, Scott, I like to really ask the important journalism questions first, so
okay.
I did ask him if he had to amputate the leg, if that was coming. He said no, amputation is off the table. So that's a little breaking news from me to you. He also told me he intends to play Game 3. Should not be a surprise. As Steve Kerr joked, Clay could be half dead and say he's going to play. But he did tell me while he still has to get an MRI on the hamstring, he said it generally feels okay. And he said the injury he had in last year's finals, you remember in Game 1, he suffered that high ankle sprain when J.R. Smith came down on him. Nobody thought he was going to play the game after that. Guess what? He came out, he started, he played great. He said what happened to him tonight, not nearly as bad as that. So when he says he's going to play, you kind of got to believe him. We'll see how the next couple days. I also just want to hit you with the fact that Andre Iguodala significantly limping around the Warriors locker room. But then again, he's another guy who looks hurt until he steps on the court. Didn't limp on that game winner tonight, Scott, and he's been dealing with this injury for weeks.
Rachel, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
No MP3 in a row, and you're going to need health on your side. And you see that currently it's a bit of walking wounded. DeMarcus Cousins comes back, plays as well as he does. Andre Iguodala dealing with the calf issues. He delivers the ultimate knockout blow. Kevon Looney wasn't able to go in this one because of the chest contusion. And then Klay Thompson, obviously, out with that hamstring that Coach Kerr was just talking about. We welcome in the great Doris Burke now. And Doris, look, there's so many things to look at here, and I guess I would just start with the guys that were on the floor and were asked to deliver, were able to. What does that say about the collective of this group?
I just thought the whole night was the epitome of championship medal. When you want to understand what it looks like, it looked like tonight from the Golden State Warriors, and it was across the board. The confidence that Quinn Cook showed in knocking down shots after Klay Thompson hits that, the thigh injury or the hamstring injury, Kevon Looney going down. I mean, I thought it was extraordinary across the board, and it was really, to me, I know there were some X's and O's, but to me it was about toughness and make them feel you, and defensively having the pride to say, you're not doing to us what you did the other night. Championship medal, that's what this was all about for me.
I completely agree, and I think, you heard Draymond after that last game talk about what Siakam did, and he said, look, we're not going to have that. I mean, 52 in Game 1, he and Gasol combined for 18. When Kerr says make them feel us, you asked him specifically about that. Doris, what do they mean? What does that mean specifically?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to come with a level of intention, and it starts always with getting back in transition. When we asked Steph and Draymond what did not translate on film that you saw in Game 1, and spot on immediately, both of them said speed. So the first thing they had to do was get back and build their defense and make them play in a half court. Then it's about intention. What are you trying to do from a tactical standpoint? What are you sending at Kawhi Leonard? How are you recovering to shooters? It just felt like a completely different team on the defensive end. And I will say this, and I heard Jeff Van Gundy talk about this, like at some point, when do you not have enough? It felt fragile tonight, Scott. I missed a good portion of this basketball game because I was constantly heading back to the locker room for one injury or another. I think in light of what they had to fight through just in the course of the game, and Steph Curry, I'm telling you the truth, he tried to sprint off the floor because he was not feeling well, and he's a consummate pro, and he came back and answered the questions, but he wasn't right all night long. So this to me was just a special win. If they walk away with this championship, they're going to remember Game 2 on the road in Toronto.
Yep, because it was really, in many respects, not a work of art, but nobody cares when you're having a parade, man. Can you win 4 games? And you got to win them ugly, and they did. Doris, appreciate the time always.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Another look at the winning play, what ultimately provided a cushion that was too great for the Raptors to overcome. After very nearly losing the ball, Livingston finds Iguodala And a former Finals MVP looked at it, thought about it for a split second, like, I'll pull this. All of y'all, hold this L. Take it with you. Big, big shot from Iguodala. And that helps Steve Kerr vault up this list. As a player and a coach, the man's been involved in the finals 10 times. It's almost embarrassing. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Look at that company. He's now up to 76 victories. We welcome in Paul Pierce. And Paul, Doris was just talking about the fragile nature of the guys on the court and who is able to go and who's not. I want to ask you about a Raptors team that was cooking with gas, man. They take out Milwaukee 4 straight. They went on their home floor in this one. They're up double digits in the second, and now it's the series is tied. How fragile is confidence when you're new to this and the champs respond as they did?
I think their confidence is fractured. I mean, I think it started there in the second quarter when they had a chance to really expand on the lead. Golden State pulled it within 5. Then they came out in the third quarter, went on this 18-0 run. And that really put a dent in their confidence. When you waste a game like this, that Kawhi Leonard goes off for 34 points, 14 rebounds, you lose this game. Now you got to go on the road in Golden State where they're as tough as anybody in the NBA. They know that it's an uphill battle from here on out.
Paul, help me understand. I mean, look, you played at a star level in this league, but when you've got guys like, say, a Cook on your team, and you're a role player means you play your role. Be great in your role, right? That's the old saying.
Yes.
How do you create a culture where a guy knows his role, but then when that role changes, he's able to elevate his game to a different type of role?
Well, you know, everybody wants more. You know, when you win, you know, Cook was on the championship last year team, and everybody wants more. But he has an understanding of this is what they need from me right now for us to win. And then now when guys go down, he says, okay, I'm going to get more of an opportunity. I've been waiting on this opportunity for a long time. And he steps into that expanded role, and he steps up a role that he's been wanting probably all year long. But, you know, patience is virtue. He stepped right into that role and knocked down some key shots. I mean, he made a huge impact on tonight's game, and, you know, that's what championship teams are all about.
Agreed. Now, Golden State's been able to figure out how to survive without Durant for the stretch that they have, including that end of Game 5 against Houston and then Game 6 on the road. They were able to get through Portland, and so far here they are with a split. But if Klay's hamstring's not right, and you got to go without him, and you got to go without KD, at some point, man, 48 minutes is a long time without those guys. Can you win a game without those guys, even at home?
You know what? After tonight, I'm not putting anything past the Golden State Warriors.
Understood.
I mean, they have the championship DNA. I feel like whoever they put out there, they can get it done. You know, you have the 2-time MVP in Curry. You have Finals MVP in Iguodala. Cousins is starting to come around. So I wouldn't put it past them. If Klay doesn't play or KD doesn't play, Golden State is still a great team.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't just get, as a guy who's been through it, you try to play hurt, you try to come back from injuries. Boogie Cousins, I'm amazed that he's able to give them that. What did you make of his performance tonight, Paul?
It was extraordinary, to tell you the truth, because I didn't expect him to give much in this series after coming off 2 injuries in this season.
Right.
For him to have an impact, and this kind of impact in just his second game, I'm amazed. I mean, he outplayed Gasol and Ibaka together. Huge points, huge rebounds, huge defense, his passing. And, you know, my hat's off to him because I doubted he can even help this Warriors team in this series, and he's been a big contributor tonight.
Amazing. Paul, thanks so much for the time. Good to visit, man.
All right, thank you.
And, I mean, this is the graphic representation of just the minutes because, look, everyone had their jokes about, you know, what kind of shape could the man be in. You heard Steve Kerr mention it. They thought maybe he could give him 20. Well, 28 minutes, and Looney goes out, so Bogut comes in and he gives you something. But a double-double and, you know, four assists shy of a triple-double. And Boogie perhaps will be joining us as we continue to discuss this series evening victory. Stephen A. Smith definitely set to join us. We'll get the Raptors' thoughts as well as Game 2 goes the way of the road team.